Okay, great. I'm going to go ahead and get started then, Amanda, and everybody. Thanks for joining us. We really appreciate that. I'm Cynthia Gibson. I'm with the Idaho Walk Bike Alliance, and we are really excited to have this $10 million for the Children Pedestrian Safety Grants. I know some of you have applied in the past and some of you have not. And so we're fortunate to have Amanda Lamont with us today. Amanda, are you managing the program again at LTAC this year?
As far as I know, unless someone else fights me for it, but so far no one. But
okay.
For now.
All right. And so Amanda knows the ins and outs of this program like nobody else. And so we've invited her to speak about the program today. We should have plenty of time for Q&A, or I know Amanda's presentation style. If you have a question and you just want to chime in, please do, or write it in the chat and I will watch the chat to see if there's any questions in there. So Amanda, take it away.
Great. Yeah, thanks. And jump in if you do see something in the chat, because in this presentation view, I can't see it. So like Cynthia said, let's chat about the Children Pedestrian Safety Grant program. Let's see, it's not letting me click forward. Technical difficulties in 22. All right, so a little tiny bit of history. The program first started in 2017 with House Bill 334. It was part of the Surplus Eliminator, if you guys remember that program. And they carved out $2 million in 2017 and 2018 of the surplus to be dedicated for children pedestrian safety on the state and local system. And that is directly written into the language of the bill. And so LTAC and ITD worked together to develop the application and the administration of the program. At the time, every year, it's been $2 million each round. And
shares plunging by 8.5%.
Oh, there we go, thanks. And now it's at $10 million. So it's really exciting that we're back in 2022 with a new bill that was passed as part of Governor Little's Leading Idaho plan. And of the plan, $210 million was set aside for local transportation projects. $200 million of it is earmarked for local bridges. And many of you have been working with us over the past month or two. The timeline for that program and application is exactly the same as this program. So, and then 10 million is for children pedestrian safety. So it's slightly different funding source for where this program funding is coming for 2022, but the guidelines are more or less the same as it has been in 2017, 18, and 21. So some example project types, we've done this program a couple years now, and these are the types of projects that tend to score the highest. And that's paths and sidewalks along an existing roadway, or connecting sidewalks and paths between two terminal points. And that does well with mobility. Do you have sidewalk on one side of the school and sidewalk on the other, but nothing connecting it? Where are the gaps in the system? And finally, some other projects that do quite well are pedestrian crossings. So whether you're crossing a state highway or crossing a local road, whether that's putting in curb ramps and signs, or those new flashing signs that have become quite popular, and you've seen them all across the state, those flashing beacons that pedestrians can push and signal to cars to slow down and stop. Those have also done quite well in this program.
Hey,
this
Amanda,
year, sure.
I'm going to interrupt for a second because there's a question and it's about the bridges. It's a good question. Is any of the money for bridges available for pedestrian bridges?
The answer to that, I'm probably going to take that question and maybe defer it, but I think my understanding of that funding is the governor tasked LTAC with tackling poor and posted bridges. So in order to be eligible to qualify for that funding, there has to be an existing bridge that is either in poor condition or posted for load, or both. So if the pedestrian bridge was a part of a bridge that qualified, then I think that it could be accommodated in the new structure. But a standalone pedestrian bridge, I don't think that meets the guidance that the governor's office had when assigning the 200 million. But I will take that question to our folks that are administering that and ask that specifically, because I don't know that has been asked specifically.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So project specifics, this is the same as it has been in the past. We will be awarding up to $250,000 per application. We did take it to our LTAC council to see, is there any appetite for awarding some larger projects up to 500,000, because, you know, cost of construction is going up, and maybe there's some projects that can't be done for $250,000, like a pedestrian bridge. And our council deliberated on that and ultimately decided that with $10 million, they really want to see the funding spread across the state. And the way to do that is to keep the funding at 250,000 to make sure that everyone gets an opportunity to take advantage of this, you know, historic surplus amount of funding for this type of project. So as of now, the limit has stayed the same at $250,000. And as it has been in the past, it's all state funding, no match. Because of that, the administration by LTAC and or ITD is very limited. Really the only oversight that we have is working with you to get an agreement, you know, what you're going to do with the money. And once you sign the agreement, we write you a check and you go do your project like you do any other project that you do with your own dollars. We do a mid-year check-in just to see how things are going. Have you got the project advertised? And then just close out, which consists of just submitting your receipts for either material if you self-perform the work, or the contractor payments to show how you spent the money. And really what we definitely look for are before and after pictures. And I'll show you on another slide why that's so important. But as it has been in the past, this question has come up again, you know, hey, with $10 million, can we put in more than one application? And again, from our council, they said, no, we want to keep it to one application per jurisdiction so that everyone can get an opportunity. So with this cycle, everyone is eligible again, and that's all local agencies. So cities, counties, and highway districts, they are all eligible except the 8 that were just awarded with the most recent round of funding. And I know this question has come up in the past, you know, what if you have a school district that wants to apply? You know, hey, we want some better, safer crossing or access. And what we've said is just partner with your local agency, whoever has the roadway jurisdiction, then just submit you could put the application together if you're a school district, and then just have a letter of support from your local agency. And then you can self-perform this work. So if you have an agency that has a lot of ability to put in signs, you know, if you're just a sign project or a basic asphalt pathway, you can absolutely self-perform. It's just the grant funding can't reimburse your time. The funding all has to go toward materials. So this just gives you an idea of how many applications we've gotten for the amount of money. So in 2018, back that way, we had 70 applications requesting 12 million, and we were able to fund 15. In 19, we got 65 applications requesting 12.7 million, and we were only able to fund 11. Both of those years, actually all 3 of these were competing for $2 million. And most recently, we had 50 applicants for $10 million. So you can see how competitive it has been in the past. And many of you have put a lot of work into putting together awesome applications for projects that are really good and really valid. So that's why the decision from our council to keep it at $250,000 to spread it out to get further down the list of applicants was so heavily weighed. So there were a few changes with this new application. We have not changed the application since we started, but with this new round of money with $10 million, we did tweak it slightly. First of all, we wanted to give credit to those agencies that just applied and didn't get funding. So if you submitted an application in December, January, when those were due, and you didn't get funded, you will automatically get 3 extra points out of 85 on your application, just to show, you know, we recognize that you put a lot of effort, even when there was only $2 million. We want to see you be successful this next round and give you a little boost. And then the only other 2 changes were asking for a little bit more information about what you're doing with your project. If you filled out one of these applications before, the first question was, how is this going to improve children pedestrian safety? And the second one is, you know, mobility. And none of the questions really asked, what is your project? So it kind of left scorers guessing as to what you're actually going to do. So the 2 questions that we added just said, give us a map, show us the limits. And the second one was, give us a short project description. So we have a better idea of what you plan to do with the money. And then all of the rest of the questions are the same as it was all previous rounds. So if you weren't successful in the past, you don't have to write a brand new application. You can just make it, you know, go back and make it a little better. in addition, all of the agencies that recently submitted and didn't get funded, we sent all of the comments and scores to all of you, showing where the areas you might want to improve. If you didn't score really well on safety, that's an area to look at for improvement for the next application cycle. So the new application is on our website now. It is not due until June 8th. So you have over a month to complete your application, and we tied that to the bridge application because the money is all from the same pot as the 200 million for bridges. We posted the applications the same day and they're due the same day. The funding, you'll have a little bit of flexibility with this funding. The deadline to spend it isn't until December of next year, December of 2023. So if we award, say you submit your applications in June, we get them all scored and we make announcements, in July or early August, you could make a decision whether to do your project now in the fall or wait until next spring, summer to get your project done. So there's quite a bit of flexibility as to when you do your work. Is there a question? Okay. So here's some example pictures, and this is why it's important to get those before and after pictures. Is every year after the program wraps up, we put together a trifold for the legislature to say, you gave us $2 million, or in this case, you gave us $10 million. Look at all the projects that were built and done successfully by the local agencies. You gave us $2 million, we spent all $2 million, we did it within the deadline we were given. And it's easy to talk about how good the projects are, but when you see a picture of the before and after from the same vantage point, that really, we've found that makes a bigger impact with our legislative elected officials. And ultimately, they're the ones who are going to be getting additional funding in the future. I know Cynthia's been really instrumental in their agency in getting this funding even started from the onset and then helping get additional funding throughout, but we'd love to see this be a dedicated program. As of right now, this 10 million is still a one-time 10 million. And that's how we've been operating every year, 2 million here, 10 million there. And what our goal would be is, hey, look at all this need. We get 50 applications, 60 applications, 70 applications, the need is there. And the hope is that by showing the success of this program, that we will demonstrate the need and hopefully get a dedicated funding source. And that is all I have today. I know that it was pretty quick. I was looking at the list of people participating, and I know many of you have applied before, so this should look pretty familiar. But at this point, are there any questions? You can get specific on your projects. Happy to answer anything at this time.
Hey, I just want to say that I wasn't aware that they had until December 2023. And so that is great. That gives people extra time to apply. So well done on that. Does anybody have any questions for Amanda?
You'll say,
Wait.
Stop sharing your screen.
Okay, I'm gotta figure out how to do that. Let me figure out how to do that. Oh, here we go. Stop share. Thank you. Boy, easy crowd today.
Well, this is Mike Edmondson. One question is, who is the agency that actually evaluates and awards the grant? Will that be the Walk Bike Alliance?
That is a great question. We have been partnering with ITD on this. So we have a scoring committee that's generally a subset of the Transportation Alternatives Committee. So that's a dedicated program with federal funds. So the short answer is one person from ITD scores it, and that's typically Margaret. That's the bike ped coordinator for the Idaho Transportation Department. One person from LTAC. It is not me, because I get really excited about working with you guys all across the state, and there's just no way I can be objective in scoring these projects. So I have one member of our LTAC staff, one of our engineers, score it. And then typically we've had a nonprofit partner that has been Cynthia to score them in the past, just to have that extra external visibility on the program and get their feedback. So it'll be the same for the next round. It will be one person from ITD, one person from LTAC, and then Cynthia.
Thank you for not kicking me off the committee. I love to read all of your applications, and I look forward to reading them again soon. I want to just say a couple things. Amanda knows I feel strongly about this. The maps are really, really important because we're going to read probably 60 or 70 applications, and that's very time consuming. And most of the committee members will read each application a couple of times just to really understand your project. The map is critical so that we don't spend a lot of time on Google Earth, because that takes a lot of time. So just make sure that you put a really good map in there that shows your project and demonstrates what you're trying to accomplish and things that you're connecting.
And I will say, if you're not super technology friendly, we've had applications in the past that were a screenshot from Google Earth, and then you just print it and mark it up with a pen. That is absolutely fine. I think the best map is one that's easy for us to understand what your project is. It doesn't need to be fancy. It doesn't need to be, you know, a GIS generated fancy map. You know, it is very okay if it's low technology, as long as you just give us the information that we're looking for.
This is Mike again. At the beginning of the webinar, it was mentioned that as far as pedestrian bridges, a question arose whether there was funding for that. And I interpreted what was said is there were 2 bags of money. Is that correct? Or the question is, will a small pedestrian bridge be permitted under this specific grant?
Absolutely. So we had that happen. I think Chalice, the city of Chalice, was successful with the 2021 funding round for $2 million. And they are doing an extension of a culvert for pedestrian crossing. And then they applied for another grant through another program to do the pathway connecting it. So that is absolutely eligible in this program. We just can only give up to $250,000. So if you can do it for less than that, then that is absolutely eligible. Even if it's more, we do sometimes have applications that come in that say, our project is going to be 400,000. Our agency will cover the difference. You know, up to 250,000 will be covered by this. And then we're going to commit to anything above and beyond that. That is also okay. Your project is not limited to 250. That's just the largest grant we can award. And I saw one more question. What do you want to see in the map? Purely the limits of the project, beginning and end. Or if it doesn't actually have to be connected either. You know, if you have little gaps across, say it's a city and you have little blocks throughout your city, just mark up where the blocks are going to be, so we have an idea of where it is. So that was one question, is the map. That's why we added the second question, is give us a project description. That's when you can tell us, we're going to do a 5-foot sidewalk with curb and gutter, or we're going to do a 10-foot asphalt pathway. You know, that's where you can be a little bit more descriptive in the description. But the map is purely just, where is this project and what is it connecting? If you want to give more information, so absolutely go for it. But we're just saying, all we're really looking for with it is your project limits. But if it helps your other question, if you want to answer the children pedestrian piece and say, refer to the map that I provided to show you where the school is and how this is connecting, that's definitely helpful. But as far as what we're scoring, it's just the limits.
And I just want to reiterate that you do give the money up front. So those communities, so that's not a reimbursement program.
Correct. Yes.
Wow.
As soon as we award the projects, as soon as we're done scoring, usually it just depends on how fast you can get it to your council for approval for the agreement. But we have agencies within 2 weeks of being told they're awarded, they have a check at their agency. So, and then you'll have until December of 23 to spend it.
Hi, this is Steve Stibner with Valley County Pathways, and I just wanted to thank Cynthia and Amanda for working on this program. And we are doing a bunch of trails called single track sidewalks along existing county roads in our master plan. And we're just not going to be ready to apply this go round, but we need to do more community relations type stuff to get our ducks in a row for an application next go round. So, but anyway, it's just, I think it's really huge to have a state program like this. And anyway, just wanted to express our appreciation to you all for doing this. And I just felt like, you know, with this huge surplus that we have, it sure is nice to see some of this money going towards pathways. So
It is awesome. And I will say no small effort by Idaho Walk Bike. We administer it. We're happy to administer it. I don't believe we bill anything. I think we do it for free because we don't want any of the money. I think that was a selling point to the legislatures. It's little to no administration. You know, we want all of the money to go toward projects. And I know Layla's been very supportive. Our administrator, Layla, has been very supportive of the program. So if you can put in an application now, I would suggest it because we never know. Right now, there is no future funding for this program dedicated. You know, that's my what I said in there is this is not an ongoing every year. It's been, if there's a surplus and the legislative committees are convinced that they should earmark some of it for child ped, then that's when it's happened. But we didn't have funding in 2020. You know, we had funding in 17, 18, and then there was a gap, and then there was another 2 million last year, and now there's a 10 million. So it's very ad hoc. So when I hear people say like, I don't know if we'll be ready, like now is the time. Now is the time to get money. That with 10 million, that's more than every other program we've had combined up to date. So even if that project isn't ready, apply for something within your agency that will fit, that is ready, because now is a great opportunity with 10 million. You know, the wealth will definitely feel spread out about the state. But yeah, talk to your elected officials. That's the best thing you can do, is convince the folks across the state to support this program.
I want to jump in and just say one more thing about that, Amanda, that advocating component. The only way we're going to get this every year is to make sure that elected officials understand the value and see what's happening in their communities. So it's really important to engage your legislators. And I will be bugging people who get successful projects to get some kids out on these sidewalks, to get some pictures taken, and to get some thank you notes written to legislators. So just so you know, that's going to be coming, because that's how we will get this every year. So and I want to send a kudos. I see Tom Furch here. Kudos to Brooke Green with ACHD, and also one of our legislators here in Boise. She was instrumental in encouraging the governor to put this into his budget. That's how we have success, and that's how we get money into your communities. And I love working with LTAC on this. They are completely committed, but it takes all of us here. You guys need to apply, show the demand, and then we show what a success the project is. And then that's how legislators understand it and support it in the future.
I have one more question. This is Mike again. In a grant application, do we need to come up with some kind of cost estimate that it accompanies the grant, or do we simply submit a plan and somebody else evaluates the cost?
We don't score the cost. You know, I think if you want to submit something that shows how you got to that dollar amount, that's great, but that's not something that we've evaluated in the past or is required. You don't have to prove to us how you got to that amount. Sometimes agencies will include it, but it's not a requirement. And one other thing I will say, since it sounds like there's some new folks on here, you're going to guess, right? You're going to guess what contracting, how much it's going to cost. Yeah. So be on the high side, you know, ask for the 250. And we've been able to extend projects with folks in the past. You know, I get some calls, hey, we got really good bids. We have an extra $30,000. Can we add, you know, these extra blocks to our project? And the answer is yes. You know, giving us money back, we have nowhere for it to go. It's a one-year program. So we want all the money to be spent on these projects. So maximize it as much as possible. But be conservative, because who would have thought, you know, gas would cost how much it is right now in 22. You know, it's hard to guess.
Hi, Amanda. It's Chris Canfield. Hey, can you remind me, how long is the application review period?
That's a great question. It depends on how many applications we get. Like Cynthia said, it takes, you know, we want to give everyone good a good shake, you know, have the scorers have enough time to read the application and score it fairly. So I think having, you know, we've had 50 or 60 or 70 in the past. With 10 million, we could have 100 applications. So I think I've been trying to give a month. You know, I think a month is fair to give the scorers chance to do it. But then also we want to be aware that if you want to get the project out this fall, we don't want to wait too long. You know, we want to give, so that's why I said the goal would be in July to give awards and write checks would be in July.
Okay.
Does that sound fair, Cynthia? You're going to be the ones, you're going to be scoring them.
Yeah, that's good. It's never enough time, but that's fine. Yep.
Yeah, and I will say, like, often, I don't know, 15 pages. Like, we sometimes get some, like, people like to include pictures, you know, like pictures of their project or pages from their transportation plan, which, let's be honest, probably don't read all those. You know, that sometimes they can be really long. So, some applications are 5 pages and they are really good and they get funding. So I'm not saying it has to be long, you know, but that's really why it takes a little while, because when you get 60 or 70 times 10 pages, that's a lot of pages to review and read.
So Amanda, are you available? Are you the person that people should contact if they have questions about the application and those technical?
Yes, my
Okay.
contact information is on the application, and I am willing to read your application, you know, schedule a call, discuss it, anything you want prior to the deadline. I am not scoring them. So, and that is why I've probably worked with over half of the agencies that have submitted one-on-one. So that's why I can't be objective, because I get really excited and passionate about some of these projects, and everyone should have a fair objective shake. So, but yeah, please don't hesitate to call me. I'm happy to help you.
I guess we've answered everybody's questions, but you have my email if you have a question for me, or Amanda's contact info. So please don't be shy and don't hesitate to ask us questions. And I look forward to seeing everybody's application come through, all of you on this call, because this is the year. If you want your project to be built, this is the year to do it.
This is the year.
We don't know when we're going to get this kind of money again. So, you know, if you think you want to do something, just do it. I mean, some of these applications that we've read the first year, Amanda, they were like skimpy little applications, but we approved several of those. And so this is the time to do it. So I hope this was helpful today for everybody. And now that you've met us, I hope you feel comfortable reaching out to us to get more information.
Cynthia, could you repeat Amanda's contacts for us?
Here, I will type it in the chat box. Can you all see that? Let's see. There's my email. And here's my phone number.
Perfect. We'll leave that up for just a minute so people can get that information. Okay, so thanks for joining us today, everybody. We really appreciate it. I am recording this today, so we will get the recording out so that others can view this. And if they have questions, I hope that this is helpful. So good luck, everybody. We look forward to seeing your applications, and thanks for your time today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.